Hi there, I'm Joey.
I'm Jacob.
And we're watching Star Trek for the first time. Last time on Star Trek, Leonard Nimoy got to smile for a little bit, and it was actually kind of creepy. But
yeah, well, I mean, he was also evil, so...
That is true. And it was a great episode. I loved it.
Yeah, good episode.
Today we're watching an episode called Patterns of Force.
Patterns of Force.
Yes. Telling me nothing?
I'd say...
Wanted to tell me anything?
Pretty generic title.
Yeah, I guess we will find out. So... We're about to get into post-episode thoughts in a second. Be sure to join us then. We are about to watch Patterns of Force. Well, that was not at all what I was expecting by this title.
Oh, no.
That was not it. No, that was great, though. Honestly, fantastic episode. Really loved it.
And it doesn't pull the rug out from under you in the end.
It does a tiny bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. We'll get there.
Well, we could talk about why. So a lot of the episode focuses around a character we don't see for most of the episode, named John Gill, who's this guy that went down to meet with the Zeons and the Ecosians.
And the Ecosians specifically, because they were the ones that were...
They were the primitive
warlike
ones, yeah. And so he wanted to meet with them and help them, whatever. Flash forward, he has now created Nazis out of them.
Right.
And so I was a little worried as the episode was going on. I was like, I hope the message of the episode isn't that... Because Kirk is like, oh, there's no way that John Gill could have changed like this. There's no way that the John Gill that I know could do such a thing.
Right. There's no way he would actively create Nazis.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I really hope that Kirk's not right. I really hope that it's not just some secret force behind him forcing him to be a Nazi. I hope that it's that it actually is he came down and he wanted to he did a bad thing in order to try to help these people.
Which is what happened.
Yeah. He's not quite as full-on Nazi as I would have imagined.
Right, because what did they say? He did this because Nazi Germany, for however reason he thought this, was incredibly efficient at doing what it did.
Honestly, probably the scariest line of the episode, when Kirk is trying to wake him up towards the end, and he's like, why did you do it? And he's modeled after the Nazis, and he's like, but why? He's like, oh, they're the most efficient, whatever. I'm like, oh
right.
My god.
They're an efficient historical example of how to build a society up. And he's
horrifying.
then it was Malakon was the one who turned it evil, if there is such a distinction.
Which is definitely weird, because even by the end, I don't know. Oh, okay, because they do call out John Gill not necessarily being a good person in the end.
No,
the last
they do
too.
Rightfully point out he actively created Nazi Germany.
Yeah. I was really hoping they were going to still treat him like a good person in the end. Because
no, his record
he literally recreated the Nazis.
His record is officially tainted.
Yeah, as it should be. But a fascinating character nonetheless. And I kind of wish we saw a bit more of Malakon.
I know, right?
He only kind of shows up in the last act of the episode and doesn't really get much to do beyond that. But hey, it's fine. The opening, I gotta say, the opening of this episode really struck me. Obviously, the big stinger being that you land on this planet. There are these it's funny because I thought it was hey, they're kind of like Nazis. They kind of dressed them up like Nazis when they first found them, but then they panned down to the armband. With the actual swastika on it. I was like, oh fuck, that's horrifying. What? No, please don't do this.
I thought it was a really bold choice given the episode's temporal relation to World War II.
Yeah, exactly. What? It's only a little over 20 years afterward.
That's. I thought it was a really bold move.
Every person working on this lived through World War II. That's weird.
Literally everyone in the episode and working on it would have been old enough to know it. The youngest of them wouldn't have been.
Yeah. Well, no. They still would have known it. I don't think there were any people that young on this episode. They were all at least in their late 20s.
I meant behind the scenes, but true, of course.
I doubt the behind the scenes people were too. Also we had a shirtless Shatner this episode. We had a shirtless Shatner. I don't know what number we're on. 9. We're on 9. This is our ninth shirtless Shatner.
You called it out during the episode.
Yeah. Which almost didn't register at first. Because the scene that it's involved in is him and is Kirk and Spock getting whipped by the Nazis. That's... Yeah.
Right, I know.
But also afterwards, you kind of have to poke fun at it because Spock has to climb up on Kirk's back, and it's clearly just some lipstick stains thrown all over Shatner's
Which they
back.
did reapply. Did you notice?
They did, but it was funny because they do the shot where Spock has to get up on his back, and you could see it all just rubbing off. and then afterwards it's like, you know, red and fresh and all that because they had to like fix it between shots. It's really funny.
We don't normally call it production hiccups.
Yes,
but...
we do. We call it production hiccups all the time because it's funny as fuck.
Okay, this especially. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's great though. I really like it. Also, just I forgot to write down who directed this episode, but I mean I know I mentioned it before, but like Star Trek TOS had some wonderful directors working on it at the time.
Right.
There's this great shot after they escape for the second time from the Nazis, and they're going down into the sewers, and like I don't know, just I loved those shots. They first going down into the sewers and then like, crawling through it.
It was incredibly modern looking,
super tight, super atmospheric, just really well done, and you wouldn't believe that it could be done on a '60s TV budget.
No, but it was.
Yeah, and it looks fantastic. So, yeah, really great stuff. There was this really funny moment then. Well, actually, before that, there's this whole bit where I forget her name, but the daughter of the guy that died.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She comes in with her other supposed Nazi friends, and they're not actually Nazis; they're fake Nazis. So they're trying to make sure that Kirk and Spock aren't Nazis. And I want a Nazi counter. How many times do we say Nazi throughout this episode?
Oh, I don't know.
But no, so they wanted to like make sure that Kirk and Spock aren't Nazis. They come up with this plan to like go into this like Nazi house party or whatever, and they bring the girl there, and it's Kirk, Spock, and I forget the guy's name that they were with that has helped them escape from the cell.
I know, I can't remember his name, and I feel
they have like
bad.
This camera like close up on them, and like Spock and the other guy dressed as SS soldiers are like just the lighting people. They're holding up these lights above her.
Right, they're just and it's like it's the play is that they're documenting the big announcement of the impending war on Xeon.
Yeah. And so it's just a really funny bit. Even funnier bit afterwards though is when they find John Gill and they're caught by the chairman and his two people, and he just doesn't recognize them at all.
And what
no, sorry, this is before they find Gill. But yeah, he doesn't like recognize them. They're in like this like changing room or whatever.
Yeah. Helped by the fact that McCoy has now come down.
Yeah, McCoy just came down. I did like the bit where he's like, he's having a little trouble with the uniform. He's like, send him down naked. And he comes down and he's putting on the boot or whatever. And then he finally takes a look and he's like, what the fuck is going on?
Right? It didn't even register that he had to wear this Nazi outfit.
Yeah.
Like, after he looked around and saw everyone else was wearing one.
Yeah. But no, it's funny because like the chairman just doesn't recognize them because he saw them earlier.
Right.
And then we never get an explanation for that.
No, I mean, well, the episode calls it out.
Yeah, the episode calls it out. So you're lampshading it, but also you're not offering an actual solution to the plot hole there.
Yeah. Whatever.
Because he was present for their whipping. And
right.
Like, I don't know. I don't think a shirtless Shatner makes that big a difference in his face.
No, right? He was just that taken by Kirk's beauty.
Yeah. But we really did cover most of the rest of the episode at that point.
Kind of in a jumbled order, but you get the idea.
It doesn't matter. This is how we usually cover these things. I did like our school lesson at the end, though. The problem with the Nazis wasn't this, it was this.
And Spock goes, yes. Like all your other great leaders, and called out everyone who did terrible things.
Yeah. So, great episode. I really loved this. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. I thought it was a striking choice all around.
Yeah. But yeah, that was great. I really loved that. Yeah, I guess that does it. Be sure to join us next week when we continue Star Trek The Original Series. Until then, this has been Joey Morgan.
I'm Jacob.
Goodbye.